Stephanie McMahon, part boss, part bulldozer and heels. She didn't just inherit Vince's jawline, she inherited his ability to ruin a career like it owed her child support. This isn't about storyline slaps or backstage catfights choreographed by Kevin Dunn. Nope. This is legit shoot heat, the kind that gets your push buried faster than a tag team division after WrestleMania. These are the 5 poor bastards who found themselves in Stephanie's crosshairs, some for opening their mouths, others for daring to exist without her approval. When Steph hates you, you don't just lose screen time, you vanish like Shane during tax season. No myths, no kayfabe, just real-life nuclear beef, petty power moves, and a few career-ending death stares from Titan Tower's Iron Lady. Rob Van Dam was the whole damn show, until Stephanie McMahon watched and said, "That's enough of that." RVD might have had the smoothest moves this side of Jeff Hardy's arrest record, but backstage, he was about as excited to work with Stephanie as he was to pass a wellness test. According to RVD himself, Stephanie once pitched him a creative idea involving her. He heard it, blinked twice, and politely declined. It's like turning down a job at Amazon in front of Jeff Bezos during a layoff. You don't say no to Steph unless you're high or suicidal. Rob, being both on any given weekday, said no. Steph allegedly hated his attitude, calling him hard to work with, which is rich coming from someone whose idea of collaboration is yelling until you agree. After that, RVD wasn't buried, he was slow roasted. He still showed up on TV, but only so his contract could expire with a whimper. He went from Mr. Monday Night to Mr. Wait, is this a rerun? He returned in 2013 and got about as much momentum as a fart in a hurricane. Stephanie didn't punish him with a storyline, she punished him with silence. The man was more underutilized than a wellness policy in the 80s. It was like watching a Ferrari stuck in neutral because the boss didn't like the color. In the end, Rob Van Dam proved you can be a fan favorite, a top merch seller, and a generational talent, and still get Stephanied. That's when your career doesn't get cut, it gets politely declined back. AJ Lee had the guts of a pipe bomb and the mic skills of someone who actually read books. In a company full of yes men and don't rock the boat Barbie dolls, AJ rolled up in Chuck Taylors and verbally suplexed the boss's daughter. In 2015, Stephanie McMahon jumped on Twitter to brag about the WWE's support for women's rights. AJ responded with a tweet so cold, it gave Twitter frostbite. It read, "Your female wrestlers have record-selling merchandise and have starred in the highest-rated segments of the show, and yet they receive a fraction of the wages and screen time." That tweet landed like a missile. And inside Titan Towers, Steph was reportedly furious. You don't call out the queen bee and expect flowers. You get stung, suplexed, and sent home. Soon after that tweet, AJ vanished from TV faster than logic from a Vince Russo script. WWE said she retired. Right, and I'm a cruiserweight. What actually happened? Backstage heat so hot it made Hell in a Cell feel like brunch in the Hamptons. This wasn't just wrestling drama, it was a civil war in yoga pants. On one side, AJ Lee married to CM Punk, already blacklisted by association. On the other, Stephanie, the woman whose elevator only goes to the top floor, because she's already cut the cables to everyone else's. AJ was never mentioned again. No Hall of Fame whispers, no legacy tributes, no thank you AJ chants promoted by WWE. Steph didn't just erase her, She-Men in Black Memory wiped her entire run. Moral of the story? Never quote wage stats to a billionaire's daughter. She doesn't see numbers, just threats. And AJ Lee? She may have been small, but that clapback was WrestleMania main event worthy. CM Punk was the voice of the voiceless. And by voiceless, I mean anyone who ever wanted to call Stephanie McMahon a power-tripping legacy brat, but still wanted a paycheck. Let's just say Steph and Punk never sent each other Christmas cards. Punk once said, "Stephanie McMahon is idiotic," on a live mic in front of millions. And in WWE, that's not a promo, that's a suicide note. Behind the scenes, it got colder than Vince's voicemail after WrestleMania. Steph reportedly pushed to limit Punk's creative freedom. Punk pushed back, verbally, constantly, and often with the word stupid involved. Sources say she hated his attitude, his non-compliance, and the fact that he had more fans in a weekend than she had in 2 decades of scripted dominance. And let's not forget his wife was AJ Lee. See the previous roast. If Steph hated AJ for airing dirty laundry on Twitter, then she loathed Punk for torching the entire laundromat. When Punk walked out in 2014, he didn't just ghost the company, he left a Scorched Earth podcast with Colt Cabana where he name-dropped the McMahons like it was a hit list. He called Triple H a doofus said Steph made things worse backstage and exposed how petty their empire really was. In WWE, you can piss off the boss, maybe even the boss's dad, but piss off the boss's daughter who married the other boss, and your merch gets pulled faster than a failed drug test in 2007. Steph didn't just want Punk gone, she wanted him erased like he owed her money. Paul Heyman was everything Stephanie McMahon hated in a man. Smart, loud, Jewish, and right. This wasn't just backstage beef, this was foie gras grade, Manhattan Deli level premium hate. Back in the early 2000s, Paul Heyman walked into WWE after ECW collapsed like a Jenga tower on bath salts. Vince hired him as a creative genius. Stephanie hired him as a human ulcer. The two were oil and water. If oil screamed extreme, and water wore power suits and passive-aggressively buried people on TV. They butted heads constantly in creative meetings. Paul wanted blood, violence, and storytelling. Stephanie wanted safe, corporate-friendly filler with cleavage and pyro. Heyman once told friends that working with her was like debating with a PR robot who thought she invented wrestling because she sat on Vince's lap during WrestleMania 1. In 2003, Paul Heyman got so over as a writer and performer on SmackDown that Stephanie, then head of creative, allegedly engineered his removal. Translation, he got more credit than she liked, and that made her itch like a Divas belt covered in glitter and resentment. According to Bruce Pritchard, Steph thought Heyman was a pathological liar. Heyman thought she was a nepotism princess with a boardroom fetish. Heyman got fired, rehired, demoted, blamed, and ultimately banished from creative meetings like a warlock who conjured too many good ideas. Stephanie didn't just clash with Paul, she tried to surgically remove his influence from the product, the way a surgeon removes a tumor they're jealous of. But here's the twist. Heyman always came back. You can't kill a cockroach with charisma. He returned in 2012, strapped Brock Lesnar to his chest like a smart bomb, and Stephanie had to eat it. Again. Paul Heyman's success is Steph's worst nightmare. It proved that someone outside her DNA pool could do it better. Chyna wasn't just the ninth wonder of the world. She was the walking reminder that Triple H once had taste, and for Stephanie McMahon, that was an unforgivable sin. This wasn't beef. This was biblical betrayal marinated in steroids, porn, and public humiliation. Let's run the timeline. Chyna was dating Triple H. Then Steph got him. Then Chyna got FedExed out of the company like an Amazon return with visible trauma. And you think Steph let it go? Bruh, she ghosted Chyna harder than Vince ghosted the XFL. According to Chyna herself, she confronted Steph about the affair and was never spoken to again. That's not a grudge. That's a Cold War with implants. And when Chyna left WWE, they didn't just erase her, they Thanos snapped her. No merch, no mentions, no Hall of Fame. Hell, the Divas title got more legacy treatment, and that belt looked like a Claire's clearance bin. Triple H tried to defend the blackout by saying, kids might Google her porn. Really, Hunter? That's your excuse? You married Stephanie McMahon and you're worried about someone else's internet history? And when she finally did get into the Hall of Fame, they threw her in as part of DX, the equivalent of inducting Tina Turner by listing her as Ike Turner's percussionist. Stephanie hated Chyna so much, she treated her WWE legacy like it owed her alimony. If Chyna had died in kayfabe, Steph wouldn't have kicked dirt on her grave. She'd have sold a headstone on Shop Zone for $49.99 plus shipping. No lie, this was the pettiest, coldest, realest hate in WWE history. Chyna dated the wrong man and Steph made damn sure history forgot her, until death made her posthumously profitable. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what happens when the ex-girlfriend was more over than the wife. She didn't just inherit a billion-dollar empire, she weaponized it like a backstage nuke. If you crossed her, kissed the wrong person, lit up backstage, or popped off on a podcast, she didn't argue. She deleted you, erased from history, ignored in interviews, airbrushed out of photo ops like a communist ex. These weren't grudges, these were personal kill shots wrapped in HR memos, and she made them look like company policy. You could headline pay-per-views, sell out stadiums, make history. Didn't matter. If you made the wrong face in Gorilla or tweeted with attitude, you were out faster than a budget cut in April. She ran the company like a mafia queen in Louboutins. And if you weren't family, you were just competition in a cage with no booking power. If you like your wrestling real and your roasts ruthless, hit that like, slap that subscribe, and come back for more. This ain't kayfabe, it's shoot season. Thanks for watching.